Hey guys, this is Stacy from EatTheBite.com, and today I'm making this insanely delicious Harissa lamb meatloaf. It's so easy and flavorful. First, we'll make a paste with diced onion, cilantro, garlic, and harissa. We'll put some ground lamb in a bowl with eggs, breadcrumbs, salt, pepper, and our paste. We're going to mix that all together, shape it into a mound, and cook it in the oven. So, let me show you how to make it. I always have onions on hand, and I usually have to eyeball it to see how much of a chunk of an onion will be enough to make half a cup finely diced. I usually slice my onion into slivers and then dice it down into smaller bits from there. And we're going for a more fine dice here, and after that's done, I'm going to put it in a bowl. Next up is the cilantro. I'm using about half a bunch for this, and I'll just run my knife over the cilantro until it's chopped down fine like you see here. Then I'll put that in the bowl with the onion. After that, I'm smashing 2 large cloves of garlic, and I'm also dicing that down fine as well, almost to a mince. Then we'll add that to the bowl. Next, I've got a jar of harissa here, which has a kick, but it's not too spicy. I'm going to add a couple of heaping tablespoons to our bowl. After that, we are going to mix this together until it looks like a paste. And now, ready to assemble the meatloaf. So I'll get my big mixing bowl, and I'll add my ground lamb to the bowl. Next, we'll crack 2 eggs into the bowl, some plain breadcrumbs, you could use panko here as well, salt, pepper, the harissa paste, and make sure you scrape that bowl to get it all. And now it's time to dig in with our hands and give this a mix until everything is well combined. Next, we're going to transfer the lamb to a parchment paper lined sheet pan. And we're going to shape this into a loaf. I love the loaf-shaped meatloaf because it will get this incredible crust on the outside while it's cooking, and I love that. Now I'm going to stick this in a preheated oven at 400 degrees for about 50 to 55 minutes. And here's the harissa lamb meatloaf right out of the oven. You should let this rest about 10 minutes before you cut into it. And let's take a look at that gorgeous end piece. I love the end piece because it's got the most crust on it. After that, for serving it, you can cut it into slices like you see here. Then what I like to do is transfer it over to a serving platter. And while the meatloaf was cooking, I did make some mashed potatoes to serve on the side. I've got a recipe for that in the recipe card on my website if you want to check that out. I really can't think of a better side with meatloaf than mashed potatoes. If you'd like, you can brush a little of the fat and juices over the meatloaf before serving. Garnish with a little fresh parsley, that's optional. And let's take a closer look at this delicious platter of food. I hope you give this one a try. It is an absolute gourmet. And now I'm going to leave you with the live commentary as I taste this awesome meatloaf.
And I'm going to start cutting through it. I want to cut a little bite off for myself first. I'm going to cut the end piece. Oh, it's got a great crust on it. I love it. Oh, here it is. Here's what it looks like inside. It's got this nice crispy crust around the edges. I'm just doing a really, low-key eat the bite right now. Some fresh parsley. It's just such a random plate. This isn't going to end up on the website, this picture, but I just want to cut off. I want that end piece because I want the crispy, crunchy. Oh, ho, 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 ho. I want to stick that whole piece in my mouth. Yep. All right, I'm going to do just the lamb first, the lamb meatloaf first. Got my bite ready to go here. I can't tell if that's in focus. Oh. I'll take a little mashed potato on the next bite. Absolutely delicious. My friend gave me this recipe, and I am absolutely thrilled with how this came out. Once again, if you are not a cilantro enjoyer, you shouldn't make this because there's cilantro in it. Although I'm convinced if I did not tell someone there was cilantro in it, they wouldn't know. These flavors are incredible. And one of my favorite things is to get a crust on the outside of beef when I cook it. I like a crust on the outside of my burger. I like the crust on the outside of my steak, which is why I like pan searing things rather than grilling them, although I do enjoy grilled. But for a meatloaf, I love crust. This is not spicy. No. Oh, the onion, the garlic, the harissa, the cilantro. Oh, this is incredible. This was my first time making it. My friend didn't have some of the measurements, so I guessed. And I think it really has the perfect proportions. And, you know, I'm someone who, when I make meatloaf or meatballs, I do like to cook those onions and garlic ahead of time. But I think this worked really well with a very, very, very fine dice, almost to a mince with the onions and garlic. And making, you know, putting it together with the cilantro and the harissa like a paste. And that was the flavor base of the whole lamb meatloaf. I don't think this needs gravy. I was torn. I'm like, what could I put on it? What should I do? I wouldn't want another flavor coming into this. Other than something like a little scoop of mashed potatoes, which is such a perfect complement to it. But I don't think it needs a sauce. This is delicious. Oh, I will be making this many times. Absolutely delicious. You got to give it a try. Not hard to make.